Campers.
Hello.
I'm Spike.
I'm Chris.
And we are Geekin Out.
Geekin Out.
And this was originally supposed to be another aftermath where we're going to review The Flash, which we just saw, but there is so much to unpack here. We just need to... This isn't an aftermath thing. We need to just unpack it and just do a full-blown episode. So, how do we go about doing this? You want to break down the basic details? Word of warning. Word of warning before you say anything. There's going to be spoilers all over the place. So
we're doing spoilers.
We're doing spoilers because honestly, there's no way in the world we can talk about this movie if we don't do spoilers.
Yeah,
we just got to go ahead and just say it. So if you haven't seen the movie, bottom line, you should see the movie. The movie's actually a lot better than the online things will have you think. Great movie? No, but a fun movie? Yeah, just get yourself the large popcorn because it's another one of those 2.5-hour movies. But this is the first movie, this is the first 2.5-hour movie in a long time that did not drag.
Well, technically, of all the other movies, this one should be 2.5 hours because if you know anything about Flashpoint, it takes a lot to tell.
You've got a lot to put in there.
Yeah, so it's like if it was 1.5 hours, it would not have worked.
This is that rarest of all beasts. You need the 2.5 hours to tell the story. So you go ahead, start spoiling everything left and right. I'm just going to sit over here and talk all over you as necessary.
Good. So yes, this is of course the very first ever Flash movie where you enter the Flashpoint. Now, if you know anything about DC Comics or anything about the Flash, anything, then you know exactly what we're talking about. If you don't, then try to soak up what you can, I guess.
Time out. Hold on. You have to know Flash from the last 20 years in order to understand this film.
Yeah.
Because if you knew anything about the Flash back in the 20th century, believe me, even Wally West has been long forgotten and abandoned by this point. Okay? Mm-hmm. The old school, the real Barry Allen, what I consider to be the real Barry Allen, is dead and buried and long gone. We got this whiny, angsty, bitchy little thing. And that's all we've had for the last 20 years. But I'll let you get back to it.
But yeah, if this movie is literally strictly for comic book fans, pretty much, okay? You have to know your stuff. And if you're fans with if you're like a big fan of the TV series and everything, then you know the Flash and all the demons and stuff that comes that way. And when I mean demons, I mean every single Flash ever pretty much try to kill the original Flash. But that's the TV series. This one is a whole different story. This one, the whole idea is him finding out that he can mess with time. And the way he does that, he's like, hey, I can go back in time, save my mom's life. My dad never goes to prison because his dad is the one that gets blamed for his mom's death and goes to prison even though he's not the one that does it. So that's the whole idea. So, of course, him already as the Flash discards everything that Bruce Wayne, you got Wonder Woman, you got a very glimpse of Superman and different Supermans. That's important. That makes cameos, and there's a whole lot of cameos. But anyway, yeah. He gets,
which Batman is Barry's?
That's Ben Affleck's Batman.
Ben Affleck. Okay, I was wanting to say Brad Pitt, and I know he's about the only guy who hasn't tried to play Batman at one point or another.
Wow.
But, yeah, so Batfleck is
Barry's.
Flash's, the Flash's,
this Flash.
our Flash's Batman to start. Okay. Yes. Michael Keaton really is Batman for the majority of this film, which is just the way it ought to be.
Yes. Which, let's face it, that's the only reason why people went and actually watched this movie.
Yeah, but see,
because Michael Keaton.
This is basically Batman 3. Okay, you go way back.
Tim Burton's Batman.
Go way back to Batman's. Go way back to Tim Burton's Batman. Well, the first one, Batman Returns, and this one for me because
Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton. But anyway, so you do get Michael Keaton Batman. Adam West turns up at one point. CGI. We got to talk about the CGI at some point too.
Oh, we will.
We don't need to get too much further into the plot, okay? Because the plot is.
Well, actually, there is one thing about the plot.
There is a plot. Go ahead.
There is one thing about the plot. So, when he goes and messes with time, General Zod shows up. Now, this is where you need to watch Man of Steel
No, you don't.
to know. Well, I mean, if you want to know why General Zod is there and stuff,
No, you
even
don't.
though they explain it,
Yeah, they do. But
it kind of, you kind of need to know.
You don't
something.
need. No, you don't. Do not watch The Man of Steel. Don't you dare support that frickin' movie. Don't do it.
Damn. Okay.
Don't. No, don't do that to yourself. This is like delinquency of a nerd. Don't do this. Do not inflict Man of Steel upon the.
Is it because
upon
of
the
Zack
children.
Snyder?
The Snyderverse is almost dead.
Oh,
Actually, it is dead now because spoilers. I told you there'd be spoilers all over the place. George Clooney is now Batman.
okay, no, wait a minute.
That is hilarious
Hold on. You're going way. You're going. Okay.
I hate you nerd fanboys.
Why? You?
I hate Snyderverse fanboys. I despise
I hate
Snyderverse.
Snyderverse too. Listen, no,
I don't even care about Snyderverse. It's dark, it's confusing, it's conflicted, and everybody's mumble mouth, just like every other DC movie from the past.
I totally agree.
Since 1992.
James Gunn is in charge now, so salute him. Well, hey, Guardians 3, what he did there.
We'll see what he did.
and all that.
Hopefully, tangent just popped in my head. We talked about this before. Hopefully, he can get rid of the Speedy Gonzalez Hispanics in the DC universe. What is it? What is it with the Speedy Gonzalez Hispanic? They're all Hispanics, and it's not even the DCU. It's all throughout Hollywood now. They all either speak like Speedy Gonzalez, or they're Frito Bandito, or George Lopez is the patriarch. And they just showed the Blue Beetle trailer again. He's still there saying Batman's fascist, George Lopez. What is it with stop it with the more woke these people are, the more racist they become. I don't get it. I don't want this to devolve into woke arguments and complaints. I don't wanna, but seriously, Barry Allen, the whitest name in the white dictionary, in the white book of white baby names, Barry Allen is supposed to be Hispanic. His mamacita is definitely Hispanic. His papacita is definitely Hispanic. Because they sound like refugees from a Taco Bell Chihuahua factory.
But
well, then why is he
I'm
there?
pretty sure he was all like American. I'm pretty sure he was. But anyways,
Ezra Miller, I gotta admit, is as Hollywood's first attempt at an artificial actor, and a completely unreal CGI generated actor, is hideous. You guys need to go back and start over again. I don't know, but
you're all over the place.
Ezra Miller is the ugliest sucker in Hollywood, and boy, that is saying something. But he is the Carrot Top of Zoomers. That's what he is. He's the Carrot Top of Zoomers, and he's got the hideous eyebrows to prove it, and the bad hair. Not a bad actor, I'll admit. Not bad.
Really?
Not bad. It's not like eating bad tacos and spending all night in the toilet bad, but it's not bad. But he himself, hideous creep. It's Father's Day. We're recording this. We're recording this on Father's Day. If my kid, son, you know I love you, but if my kid came out looking like Ezra Miller, I would have nailed his ankles to a rock, just like the Spartans. I would have just left him to...
Whoa! Okay.
Hideous. Hideous.
We're talking about
And I
the
would have looked
movie,
at
not
his...
his
And I would have
book.
smacked his mother because what in the world was she doing? Because shit, that ain't my kid. I'm prettier than Ezra Miller. And I'm old and fat now. I'm balding too, see? And gray.
Anyways, let's forget about this.
I look more like Michael Keaton when he first came out. Because he does have the whole beard, mustache, and the raggedy, and for some reason he makes his own pasta sauce because of course he makes his own pasta sauce because he's Batman and he can do anything. And I bet he uses fresh basil that he grows right there. I'm sure that was basil that was growing in the kitchen window, but I could be wrong. But anyway. They do have a thing for pasta in this movie. Especially for tomato sauce. Everybody makes their own tomato. That's how you know they're really Hispanic, because they're making their own pasta sauce. I mean, that's why Barry Allen's mother is dead, spoilers, because she didn't get enough tomato, not even tomato sauce, crushed tomatoes. Organic crushed tomatoes. In the blue can, not the green can. Was it the green can, not the blue can? I'm a father, what do I know?
Are you okay now? Are you done? We went on looks, food, products.
Oh, no, I was talking about CGI because the CGI in this film.
Way off
CGI in this film. Well, no, I was talking about how Ezra Miller is the first artificial movie star because no human being can look that hideous. Ezra Miller's got to be the biggest deep fake I've ever seen. I mean,
I don't know about that.
This sounds like William Morris just putting together an artificial.
You're forgetting. Remember Henry Cavill's fake mustache?
Oh my God, that was
now that was bad.
the CGI mustache. That was ooh. Whenever I suffer food poisoning, I go back and look at Henry Cavill's mustache. It is the most effective ipecac I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, it's a CGI. Okay, people are talking about the CGI in this film. Holy cow! That they must have used a PS3 to render this thing because it is. There are points. Any shot of Zod where you get a look at his face, it looks like it rendered on a PS1. For crying out loud.
Yeah, it's pretty much clear that they just had an actor come in, read his lines, and they just took his face and put it in the suit. And that was it.
You can tell which actors are not there. Christopher Reeve shows up in this movie. It's not a deep fake. It is a fake.
Even Helen Slater's Supergirl.
Even Helen Slater was there.
Showed up.
That was impressive. I gotta admit.
But I did say that the lighting it made the faces look black and white, and I'm like.
Like I said, a PS1. PS1 rendering.
Oh yeah. So the special effects. So far. Hold on.
We're recording at Chris's place. That's why you're picking up.
Yeah. Traffic's right.
Go ahead. Traffic stuff. Go ahead.
But yeah. So the director had said that the special effects were meant to be that bad because of something or another. But let me tell you, okay. I will say. There's a whole scene with a baby shower. You'll find out if you go see the movie. The special effects there sucked. But I will say the rest of it was actually pretty sweet. So yeah, here and there's bad special effects, but eh.
In the credits, they spend about as much time on the special effects studios as they do on anybody else. Okay. Every special effects studio involved with the film today gets its own byline and a credit for everybody at that effects studio who was involved in the production. This movie had at least a dozen. And every single one of them needs to go to Warner Brothers and bribe somebody to have themselves deleted out of the credits at some point in a future release because holy cow, this is not a selling point for you to get more work in Hollywood. The CGI is atrocious here.
Now, he already told you that Christopher Reeves makes an appearance. Yes, we get We get the people that show up in this movie. We have Ben Affleck, last time playing Batman. We get Christopher Reeves, Helen Slater as Superman and Supergirl. You get Adam West. You get, I can't remember.
Adam West is always a good thing.
I can't remember the very first Superman, what his name was, but
George Reeves.
George Reeves.
He does turn up there in black and white, which is awesome.
Yeah.
A nice little touch.
And then, of course, if you are a huge fan of storytelling from Kevin Smith, as he tells the iconic story about how he used to write
Snoochie Boochies
for the Superman movie, and how the guy, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy was like, I don't want Superman to be in the suit because it's too gay. He doesn't want Superman to fly, and he wants Superman to fight a giant spider. Then that was destroyed.
That was the gentleman who brought you the Wild Wild West, by the way. And
that was destroyed. And then Tim Burton had Nicolas Cage. You remember the famous Nicolas Cage in the Superman outfit? Well, guess what? He's there, and he's fighting a giant spider,
a giant robot spider.
So
super mullet and all.
Yes. So, who else was in there?
Oh, good heavens! Anybody who has played anybody, I take it back. Not everybody was there. Grant Gustin was not there.
Yeah.
John Wesley Shipp was not there. In other words, all the guys from Flash's past were not there. John Wesley Shipp also played Jay Garrick in the Flash TV series. He's nowhere to be seen, which is insane because he's been involved in every iteration of the Flash so far. But, hey, to be honest, all they would do is just CGI him in, and again, it's being rendered on a PS1. Let's spare John Wesley Shipp the pain and misery of being subjected to that.
That's true. Of course, George Clooney.
George Clooney is there
as Bruce Wayne, not Batman, but Bruce Wayne. So
at the end, yes. That's after Barry gets back after
thinking he fixed everything. Even though you saw what he did, but you didn't see what he did, if you know what I mean. He put the can on the top shelf. That's all I got to say. And it went through a whole nother different path. Mm-hmm. Even though he should have learned.
But the best line in the entire movie is Barry seeing George Clooney as Bruce Wayne. He's like, "You're not Batman, but you're not Batman." You know, sounding like every DC fanboy of the last 20 years.
Which I understand why he didn't show up in the bat suit, because we do not need to relive the bat nipples.
We don't need bat nipples. No, that's for sure.
But yeah, this movie, if you're a fan, you would love it. I'm kind of glad that this is where it stops, because James Gunn's his vision of what's going to be next is pretty much supposedly going to be that path.
We'll see.
Maybe.
James Gunn's been keeping kind of mum on what he's going to do with the DCU going forward. Now, we know James Gunn knows how to handle superheroes. He actually made Guardians of the Galaxy cool. That was a D-list property when he came in and did that. Turn it into A-listers. They've got their own rides at Disneyland and shit now. So he knows what he's doing, okay? Like I said, we're putting in an end to, not necessarily an end to the Snyderverse. We've definitely put an end to Burtonverse, because Tim Burton's Batman, Michael Keaton, the home world he's on, it gets destroyed. The entire thing gets destroyed by Zod, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. Supergirl bites the dust, which should...
Oh, yeah,
there's a bunch of people online who have been spouting off because they've got a Supergirl and not a Superman. She's another one of those who looks, I don't know what nationality she was supposed to represent, but she looked hideous too. But and the big doe eyes.
You know, the more you say this, it just makes it sound like you're racist too.
I am, You am. You am. All these guys up here am. Everybody is racist. Once you hit about second grade and you're told that there are different skin colors that you should be paying attention to, racism is taught. But the thing is, I'm open, honest, and upfront about it, and I won't sit there and hold anybody back from it. I'll just sit here and poke fun at you and make you feel miserable and uncomfortable, which means I'm actually confronting the racism issue. Hollywood has a severe racism issue, and this is why we're doing Geekin Out and not an aftermath, because this is far outside. We've wandered so far off the Flash review.
I know.
Hollywood has a severe racism problem. Severe. And I mean systematic, because all of Hollywood is woke, right? Most of it is anyway. You're starting to hear cracks in the facade. Woke is all about racism. These people would actually make the Klan blush. Whoopi Goldberg could be a grand wizard. Easy. It would just have to be a paisley pillowcase instead of a white one.
Wow.
I said it. It needs to be said. But anyway, so it's nothing to do with the Flash. Let's get back to the Flash. Whatever. Supergirl bites the dust repeatedly in this film.
I got to admit, like, first of all, people who was fussing about, oh, we got a Supergirl instead of Superman. First of all, we have different versions of everybody in this movie, because that's pretty much, I mean, if the multiverse actually was real, and that might be.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Go ahead.
I mean, that's pretty much the way it would be, right?
Right.
I mean, there's different versions of everybody in different ways, sex, color, all that stuff, so. But I will say, like, whoever the girl is that plays Supergirl, she honestly, she really didn't do much in the movie.
She is built like a brick house, though.
I mean, sure.
Dang, she's rocking a Superman suit.
Sure.
And considering she's not showing any skin either, so technically it's safe for release to international markets, but...
True, unlike the other Supergirls in the past. It's like a little short mini skirt.
You thought Gal Gadot, who is back, by the way, thank God.
Oh, it's Wonder Woman. Yeah,
that's one you forgot. Gal Gadot. You thought Gal Gadot could fit a bustier. Damn. But anyway. But, there is no skirt on this Supergirl.
But yeah, she comes, she goes, she comes back, and then, she kind of dies. Over and over and over again.
which is meta in a different way. Okay.
Over and over and over again.
Hold on. That's meta in a different way. We're about to get really nerdy here. Okay, we're about to get DC geeky here.
Nerdy.
We're going to go down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
Nerdy. Chris, how much do you know about Crisis on Infinite Earths?
I try not to remember everything because there's a lot. I just I know the if I remember correctly, Batman actually does die, right? No, that's a different one. Superman becomes evil. Batman. You know what? There's been
so many crises over the years.
I can't remember.
Crisis on Infinite Earths came out in 1985. It was the original. Not the first mega crossover. Marvel beat them by a couple of years with Secret Wars, the very first one. DC did it hella better because they put Marv Wolfman and George Perez in charge of it and said, we need to settle this, because before Crisis on Infinite Earths, there were literally a million DC universes. Okay, you had Earth 1, which is where Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, all the modern heroes you knew, they were on Earth 1. Earth 2 was where it took place back in World War II, which is where all the original heroes that the new ones were based on. That's where they lived. You had Earth 3, where all the superheroes were supervillains, and Lex Luthor was the only hero. And then you had Earth 4 and Earth 5 and Earth S, which was for Shazam, and Earth X, where the Nazis won World War II and Uncle Sam led the freedom fighters, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yes, I'm exhausted just talking about it. And I was the one who bought them the day they came out, when they first came out at Rayburn's Market down on Richmond Avenue. In fact, I remember walking through the snow with the first issue. So, when uphill both ways, 10 miles. Check me on that one. I dare you. Anyway, so the Crisis on Infinite Earths. We were talking about. You had mentioned something about. What the hell were we talking about?
Supergirl dying over and over.
Supergirl dies over and over. In the 12-issue limited series that came out in 1985, basically DC decided they want to take all these universes and cram them into a single Earth. Because, oh my God, what happened? We're tired of all the fanboys complaining about which Earth happened, what happened on which Earth.
Yeah.
Let's simplify it, make one Earth, one history, and if it don't fit, out it goes. It goes in the dumpster and it burns, okay? So, there goes the Justice Society, there goes Shazam, there goes the Crime Syndicate, there goes a bunch of really good ideas out the window because we want one Earth, we want one universe, we want one group of heroes, and that's the way it's going to be, and it lasted 6 months, and they already started writing around it. Supergirl died in Crisis on Infinite Earths, okay? She dies in issue number 7, I believe. And the iconic cover has Superman standing there blubbering like a baby because he's holding Supergirl's corpse. With all the heroes around her like, dang, dude, suck it up. But anyway. So, seeing Supergirl die repeatedly in this movie was hilarious. Towards the end, you get to the climax, you see our Barry, other Barry, the one where his mommy lives, that Barry, and then you see a third Barry, which is that Barry, who's tried to sit here and save Supergirl and Michael Keaton like a million times, and he keeps just taking all the shrapnel for some insane reason. But either way, he comes out looking like the Anti-Monitor. Look it up. Crisis on Infinite Earths Anti-Monitor. Look at this, what this guy looks like. Compare it to the Anti-Monitor. Thank you. Compare it to the Anti-Monitor that George Perez designed for the comic book. They're not an exact match, but you can see the similarities. And you see all these worlds in this little flashpoint wherever they're at. You see all these worlds colliding and collapsing. And which is, again, is another shout out to Crisis. Scuttlebutt has it that DCU is going to start a phase. They're going through a phase. Aren't we lucky? They're going through a phase. They're building to the Crisis. They want to do a Crisis on Infinite Earth special. Or a movie, probably a trilogy. The way they do it, they'll probably do sequels and prequels and a bunch of other shit. 'Cause everybody does prequels now, including the Hunger Games, for God's sake. You think they'd have given them a cheeseburger by now, but no, we're getting a Hunger Games prequel. No. There is a joint up over in Frankfurt called the Cliffside Diner that makes an excellent chili cheeseburger. Give them to the Hunger Games. I'll buy. I don't mind. Eat a burger, for God's sake. But anyway. I digress. What you gotta say? Come on.
It's just hilarious how you go from one thing to something else and then it goes off.
But I'm so hyped up on caffeine and popcorn right now, it ain't funny.
Oh, shoot.
Anyway.
But yeah, so of course it doesn't go well. I will say this though. I know there's a lot of talk about Ezra Miller as a person. True, he's a dick.
Ezra Miller's an asshole.
But
he's a dick in an asshole.
I will say this is that his acting was, I was impressed. Okay? You could, like, his acting in this movie was really good. I love the tone where it's like you have Barry that we're watching and then his younger Barry when he's like, 18 or something like that?
18 in this movie.
And the 18-year-old is like really goofy. Like, he's honestly stupid. And you're like, wait, what is going on here? But then I realized, oh yeah, he changed everything. Mm-hmm. So the 18-year-old Barry is not that smart. But then as the time goes on, you see the goofy Barry go from like, okay, this is probably heavy, going back to the future thing. And then he goes absolutely crazy to where he's like, I gotta say this, I gotta say that. And he's like obsessed, like, I can do this, I can get this done, I can save everybody, I can, and then turn into the monster that he becomes. And you're like, whoa, like, I like the shift change there. That's actually pretty awesome. It's kind of like the whole story of like, you're watching Michael Keaton Batman. You're watching Michael Keaton Batman and this world that you're kind of familiar with from the Tim Burton version and all that. And then at that one moment when 18-year-old Barry is like going absolutely insane, and the Barry that we got now is sitting there like, this world is dead now. Like, we cannot save this world. No matter what we do, no matter what we change, this world ends completely. And you're like, I don't know about you, but for me, I was sitting there like, that's crazy. It's like,
That's the reason why I consider this to be the only acceptable adaptation of Flashpoint. And there's been about a half dozen by now. Every time the Flash shows up, they just have to do Flashpoint, just rub it into the dirt, because they think that's the only Flash movie. I've had that rant before. We're not going to do it here. But the reason I like this edition of Flashpoint, this edition of Flashpoint, the reason I like this version is because our Barry, not Grant Gustin, but Ezra Miller, the artificial actor. Barry Allen, who keeps wanting to go back in time. Thank you, Mr. I don't have a penis. Thank you. Anyway, our Barry Allen, who keeps wanting to go back in time because he wants to rescue his widow mommy and stuff. Like he's 6. It's not even 12.
I mean, he's a
6.
mama's boy.
He's a mama's boy. I gotta get Daddy out of prison and rescue Mommy. Okay. This is the one that finally breaks Barry Allen of that habit, because even he admits, dude, this is overkill. He actually has to tell his younger self, this ain't the right thing to do. Okay. So 25-year-old Barry Allen has to tell 18-year-old Allen, knock it off, because he can see the damage that he's doing, which if he had just freaking listened 2 hours prior
to Bruce Wayne,
we would still have Ben Affleck as Batman. So anyway, but like I said, I honestly think, if getting back to the Crisis here for a minute, I believe this is where James Gunn is trying to go, but he's going to do it in reverse. He wants to. I think Gunn's master plan is to start introducing different universes within the DC film franchise. So you're going to have a dark universe, which is where like Swamp Thing and Hellblazer, John Constantine, and all the magic guys are going to hang out in that neck of the woods. And then you're going to have like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and all the bright, flashy superheroes over here. But then he's going to do like this grittier version of World War II heroes and villains and stuff like over here, and he's going to have a different one over here. He's going to try to, I can't say for sure this is what Gunn is aiming for, but I think Gunn is trying to set it up so that you can get different flavors of film under the DC banner. If you see Marvel attached to a film, what do you think? What kind of film are you going to get?
Funny, bright,
genre.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. Goofy.
Used to be goofy. Used to be fun. Used to be.
But there was a story.
Okay?
Now it's just goofy and.
Now it's just special effects and insulting the audience. But Marvel, you think superheroes. Invariably, you think superheroes. You see Marvel attached to anything, you're thinking superheroes first and foremost. DC has been around now for 90 years. 85. Close to 90. They've been around for a while. They've been around the block many times. Everybody forgets that Batman started in Detective Comics. Everybody knows Batman is a detective. Batman shows up in Detective number 29, which means they did 28 issues of detective stories at DC Comics before Batman came along. DC knows how to do genre storytelling. You can have a DC film that doesn't have to be superheroes. I would love to see a House of Mystery movie. That would be awesome. That's where Swamp Thing got his start, was in House of Secrets. And Swamp Thing can go his own way. And actually, it was House of Mystery and House of Secrets that helped inspire the entire Neil Gaiman Sandman, the entire Preacher series, the entire Hellblazer series with John Constantine, the Swamp Thing series. All of that ethos came out of House of Mystery and House of Secrets. That is untouched virgin territory. DC can do a freaking mystery series without a single superpower in it. Okay?
Sure.
The actual Cain and the actual Abel are in those two books. Okay? Cain runs the House of Mystery. Abel runs the House of Secrets. Those two, if you paid any attention at all to Western culture over the last 2,000 or last 6,000 years, honestly, you know what Cain and Abel get along like. That's how they get along in the books. That is all virgin, untouched territory, and that's DC. I'm going to tell you, James Gunn is going to set up DC Studios to explore all the non-superhero properties.
Knocking on wood.
He's going to, I honestly think Gunn, if he's smart, and I think he is, if Gunn is smart, he's going to start taking the DC, you'll have the DC universe still, but you're going to start seeing DC on places you don't expect to see it. Okay? When Blade first came out in the 90s and preceded every superhero movie that came out after it, everybody's like, that's Marvel? Yeah, that's Marvel. Men in Black was a comic book from Malibu, which wound up being owned by Marvel. It is technically a Marvel property. Men in Black.
I honestly did not know that part.
But if you would put Marvel on Men in Black, everybody would think it would be about superheroes. DC, because DC has not had that heavy output that Marvel has had. Thank you, Mushroom Dick. Because everybody has seen so many Marvel superhero things. Everybody thinks superheroes and has seen Marvel. DC has a chance to go in an entirely different direction. Yeah, they'll still do superhero things because it's Superman, it's Batman. Why the hell wouldn't you do that? But now you've got tons and tons and tons. Challengers of the Unknown, which is something almost nobody knows about, okay, is considered a D-list franchise, just like, what other D-list franchise have I talked about today?
Swamp Thing.
No, before that. I talked about Marvel's D-list that James Gunn took.
They're all pretty much,
Guardians of the Galaxy. Challengers of the Unknown were the guys who inspired the Fantastic Four. Okay? Jack Kirby did Challengers of the Unknown for DC before Stan Lee created the Fantastic Four, because Jack Kirby Stan Lee wasn't the only one who created the Fantastic Four. He was the one who came up with the ideas and stuff. Jack Kirby came in, took the elements of Challengers of the Unknown and built it into the Fantastic Four. The tough guy, the ace, the one with the swagger, the brain, they were all there. But the thing is, nobody knows Challengers of the Unknown. Now you can do that. And you can take that property because nobody, unless you're a DC fanboy, you don't know Challengers of the Unknown. You can take that property and you can do all kinds of things with it. And because their whole thing is they go out and they explore the unusual, hell, you could make this a weekly series. You can make this episodic television. You can take this to, and finally get somebody to pay attention to Max, maybe. Wow, that may be pushing it.
It sounds like you've got a huge wish list, but again,
Again, 90
Knock on
years worth of properties at DC that can be tapped. They're just sitting there waiting. How many needle dicks are in downtown Mount Sterling? Okay, now, we do need to wrap this up because we're 40 minutes and I know I've been ranting and raving through the whole thing. Let's wrap the review of The Flash up real quick, okay? On the scale of 5, we, as you know by now, if you paid any attention at all, we go from 5 down to 0, where 5 is worth full price with a date and 0 is not even drunk. Chris, what would you give The Flash on a scale of 5?
I will give this. I want to say 5. Yeah, you know what? I'll give it a 5. I'll give it a 5.
Why would you give it a 5? You would say this would be worth full price on a Saturday night.
Yes.
Okay, why?
Because it does reach out to comic book lovers who know the source, who knows the story, and let's face it, like, before James Gunn got a hold of DC and before DC actually kind of started to crumble, when the word came out that there was going to be an actual Flash movie, what did I talk about? I said it's a mistake because this is Flash's first movie and they're going to do Flashpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a bad idea for his first movie.
Mm-hmm.
But now here we are, knowing what I know now, I'm just like, you know what? This is a perfect, good ending to what we've had before and going on to a new start. I had fun. I definitely enjoyed Michael Keaton. And all the Easter eggs that was put in here.
There are thousands of Easter eggs in this film.
Yeah.
That is one thing I will say. I will give this film credit. It happens in the daylight.
Yeah.
Except for when Michael Keaton, when Los Dos Berries are trying to figure out how to use all the technology and stuff in the Batcave, and Bruce Wayne's still sitting up in his decrepitated mansion with the beard and everything. It's dark, but the rest of it is well lit. It's brighter. You can tell what's going on. The darkness is largely expelled. The moodiness is largely expelled. Yeah, there's still whining and angst involved, but at least you can tell what's going on. You can see things. Now, you give it a 5. I would say that's a nerd score.
Yeah.
Okay. Nerds would give this a 5. The nerds are going to quibble a little bit. Like I said, the PlayStation 1 level CGI here. I would come at it more. Now, I'm a DC fanboy for about the last 43 years. I first started reading Action Comics in 1980. Actually, because I was reading Marv Wolfman doing Action Comics when Lord Satana split him in half, and boy, am I old and nerdy. But I may be one of 2 people on the entire planet who remembers that storyline. But anyway. I'm going to come at this more as a non-nerd would, and I would give this a 4 because the story actually is better than the credit it's gotten. True, the CGI is atrocious at times. The one scene, we get 2 shots of Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater. Okay, Christopher Reeve's Superman, Helen Slater's Supergirl. Okay, you get 2 of them. The first one with Christopher Reeve looks hideous. Flat, almost like it was screen printed and on like a silk mask and just plastered on somebody. It looks terrible. The second one, not quite to Luke Skywalker cameo in the Mandalorian level deep fake, but much more effective than the first one was. They may have actually used footage from one of the Superman movies to actually get that one across. But all in all, I'd say a 4. This film is not nearly as bad as people make it out to be. There are certain people who I think are emotionally invested in tanking this film. They did it they did it to Elemental, but I think Elemental might deserve it. We were supposed to actually review both films this week, but there was no way in hell I could do 2 of these in a weekend. So Elemental, I believe, is barely going. That's the new Pixar film. It is not supposed to break 30 million in its opening weekend, which is horrid. It's not the worst they've ever done, but boy, oh boy, that's tanking.
Speaking of, and this has nothing to do with Flash, nothing to do with Elemental.
Yeah.
But I want to point out, here lately, I have been giving hope to where my taste in films have been skyrocketing. I've been right every time. With Dungeons and Dragons movie, I was like, there's something about this that I want to watch. And it was excellent. I can't remember the other movie that I had the same way.
But it stood out so well.
But there's another movie coming out, and it is getting like huge praise. And that is Asteroid City.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
You said it was based off of a comic book.
It probably was, but I don't remember this.
Astro City.
Oh, Astro City. Yes, I've heard of Astro. You said Asteroid City, and I'm like, what the hell is he talking about?
My bad.
Astro City.
Astro City.
Which is a far more realistic take on how superheroes would exist in the real world than what we typically get.
Anyways, there's something about this movie that is really speaking to me, and I'm like, I got to see this movie. And now I'm seeing like a bunch of like reviews on it saying that it is amazing, and I'm like, wow, like my taste in movies is like it's speaking to me. It's like I know what works here, and I wanna. So when it comes out, we gotta watch it.
Astro City is Kurt Busiek. He's a guy who's been writing for decades in comic books. This was the superhero comic he always wanted to write, but couldn't because nobody at DC or Marvel would do it. And he finally got to the point where he could self-publish, and he started doing the stories he wanted to do, and it has just been growing. It is by far and away one of the most critically acclaimed superhero comic books, and one that even the critics like. So it's the superhero book for people who hate superhero books. I'll say that. Not like Watchmen, which makes people hate superhero books, but this is one where it takes, even if you come in jaded and you don't like superheroes and you're burnt out, you can pick up an Astro City, a story, because you want to read a story from beginning to end. There's been several over the years. But you can pick up an Astro City story, and it's going to give you a different way to look at superheroes in every story. It's an excellent source, and like I said, when you start with good source material.
So we will be doing a review on it.
When it comes out. And I'm trying to think I think Astro City did spend some time at Dark Horse. I don't know if they're still there. Somebody can correct me. But Dark Horse is one of those studios that just sneaks in by you and you don't know it's coming until it's there. Because anybody who remembers Jim Carrey and The Mask, that was a Dark Horse comic book before Jim Carrey picked up The Mask. So Dark Horse has been at this for a while, and they only do the really, really high-level stuff. Sin City was another one. 300 was another Dark Horse property. So that gives you an idea. Astro City, if it is a Dark Horse property like I think, that shows you how much impact their properties can make on pop culture. This could be the one that brings the superhero back, but it's going to make them grow the hell up.
I can't wait for the movie, but
I can't either, be honest.
We'll get to that when the movie comes out, and we will definitely be reviewing that. But yes.
So we actually do have something to look forward to, as opposed to Elemental out this week. What the hell comes out next week? Something comes out next week. I can't think what it was. But
Indiana Jones?
Yeah, Indiana Jones 5.
There's a lot that is coming out this month. That has came out this month, and it's like every movie's fighting for. And I know. Well,
I'm going to say one thing about Indiana Jones, and I'm just going to put it to rest, okay? I don't want to talk about Indiana Jones 5 anymore.
No.
It's another one of those properties, but snake bit forever. Flash turned out well. I don't think Indiana Jones 5 will. There's been one good Indiana Jones movie, and that was Raiders of the Lost Ark. Every other movie is sucked.
Really? The Last Crusade?
Fuck The Last Crusade. Yeah, you heard me. You heard me. Sean Connery is James Bond, not Daddy Jones, okay?
You heard me.
F The Last Crusade. The Last Crusade would be the one...
Okay, don't make me cry.
Maybe.
Stop.
Maybe
Stop.
The Last Crusade is acceptable, but I wouldn't say it's good. But 2, 4 sucked ass. And 5 looks like it's going to suck ass because we got the perky female sidekick who's going to make good and take over, supposedly. So be it. But I really don't care about Indiana Jones at this point. I wish Harrison Ford wants to retire. Let him retire, guys. Leave the poor man alone. Stop throwing money at Harrison Ford and making him come out and do the little indie dance or Han Solo dance or whatever. The fact that the man is now a Disney... I'm going to go ahead and say it. Harrison Ford is now a Mouseketeer. He's a glorified Mouseketeer.
Wow.
Come out, do the dance, do the song, and then hopefully make some money at it, which they won't. So let's wrap. You give it a 5, I give it a 4. So that averages out about 4.5, which is a lot better.
Because I was thinking either a 5 or a 4.5, but I just gave it a 5. So
The film is better than it should have been. It turned out fine. It's got some points where you're going to slog through it, but it's okay. And who doggies? And the worst part is when we started, I thought, oh, thank God, it's not another origin film. And then they immediately go back to the backstory. I'm like, crap! But they didn't linger on it, so to speak. Either way, it's better than I thought it would be and worth checking out. At least a matinee. Go see it. You'll want to see this on the big screen. This is not the kind of film that's going to translate well to the small screen. Speaking of which, the beloved and I, not this one, my wife, the beloved and I actually did go out and see Jaws on the big screen. We went out to the Grand Theater in Frankfurt Friday night. Got to see Jaws, the real one, the Steven Spielberg one, the 1975 one. We got to see that on the big screen, sort of kind of, at the Grand Theater in Frankfurt. The film is awesome. You have to see it on a large screen. If you're seeing it on the TV screen, you're losing a lot. Okay? Just like most Steven Spielberg spectacles that are really that great, they're much better on the big screen. Even if you have a home theater, it's just not the same because you want the experience with other people. Now, from what I understand, Jaws is, you get a second chance to see Jaws. Jaws will be coming to the Kentucky Theater in downtown Lexington sometime mid-July, I believe. Go Google Kentucky Theater Jaws and you'll get the links to buy the tickets and what time it'll be there and stuff. If you get a chance to go see Jaws in the theater, you should do it. There's a lot of older films that are coming back onto these smaller art house screens, and I'm glad to see it because The Princess Bride is actually coming, I think, to the Grand Theater next month. I'm not sure, but
as you wish.
That's something else that needs to be seen on a big screen because it's just something special about it. So now that I've said that, let's go ahead and finally wrap this. Final thoughts, Chris, before we say goodbye.
Go see the movie.
Go see the movie. So until next time, Spike.
Chris.
And y'all keep on geeking out.
Bye.